It's Friday. Welcome to another Quick Queries Tech Help video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I am your instructor, Richard Rost. Quick Queries are answers to queries about queries and other stuff Microsoft Access related. And they're questions that don't normally need a whole video on their own, so I throw them all together into a Quick Queries video. So, let's head to the mailbag. Well, it's not so much really a mailbag as it's like stuff in my forums and stuff. Anyways, first one comes from Richard Garber. He says he doesn't understand why you can't use the compact and repair feature in the free runtime. And Sammy came back with, well, your end users should not be doing compact and repair. That should be something that's you, the developer's job, which I agree. And then Richard came back with, why can't an end user, because he's planning on distributing this to other people who aren't necessarily going to have, an administrator in their office. And he wants to know why you can't just let them do a compact and repair yourself. And basically you can, but you have to do it with VBA. You don't have access to the compact and repair button in the GUI, right, in the ribbon, from the runtime edition. Okay? So you'll have to make your own button, maybe put it on a menu somewhere, that'll run the compact and repair VBA code that will compact and repair. It's still in there. It'll still work with the runtime edition and with an ACCDB file, because your backend where your tables are should be an ACCDB file. You just can't do it from the ribbon. And I got a video that explains on how to do it with VBA. And here's the video on that. You can see we made a little compact backend button, and it does its thing. Next up, a question from Michael. He says, aside from continuing through this course, because he's currently on Access Expert Level 2, he says, how does one gain wisdom when it comes to normalization, or is it just through the School of Hard Knocks? He's building a database for an RPG, cataloging items, and all items have some common basic properties, name, description, weight, that kind of thing. But he's got one-off things like weapons. They have damage, damage type, 2-hit bonus. Potions have an effect and a duration. So he's like, how do you put this all together? And I said, well, when it comes to table structure, I personally lean toward keeping all of the items in the same table. Now, remember, you got a whole bunch of fields that aren't necessary for every item. Like effect and duration wouldn't be applicable to swords, just like potions and maybe wands and stuff. So on the form where you need these fields, you can display those fields, right, using a little bit of VBA logic. If it's if the item type is a potion, then show these fields and so on like that. But it doesn't hurt to keep them in the table. They're not taking up any extra space if there's no data in those fields. A tiny, teeny, tiny little bit of space. It's negligible. Now, that's the beginner or even the expert level solution. If you want to go more advanced with it, you could have a second table that's got name value pairs in it, right? All right, take for example here. You've got an item table and then a data table. And the data table will have all the data that's optional for your item. So here's your item table, right? You got a sword and a potion of healing, and you'd have any fields that are common to all of the items. Every item's going to have a cost, usually, right? Notes and a weight, perhaps, if you're doing encumbrance. And then here's the data table over here. So you can see these are the data items for item number 1, the data points, right? Damage, which not all items do damage. So for the ones that do, you pick damage, damage type, and handedness. This all applies to the sword, right? Item 1. These things down here apply to item 2. You got effect and duration, which a sword wouldn't have those, right? And so where do you get this list? Well, you can get more complicated with this stuff. You can then have, another table that's got the list of variable items for each of these. So the sword, you might have in that table, okay, you need damage, damage type, handedness, and whatever other attributes are just for that sword. And you pick the same thing for any type of weapon, right? Dagger, warhammer, that kind of stuff. And then you have a list of optional ones based on the type of weapon it is. So you can get a lot more complicated than this. I actually have on my list to do a full video on something similar to this. Obviously not with D&D items, but I've got a customer-related one coming up soon. But yeah, this is a more advanced way to handle it, and it's a little more flexible. But again, there's nothing wrong with putting these different fields straight in the item table, especially if you're talking a reasonable sized database. We're not talking about hundreds of thousands of records here, right? You're talking about what, a couple hundred items maybe? So I would just throw it all on the same table and only display the items that you need. You got to remember when you're working with small and mid-sized databases, like small company databases, hobby databases like this, it doesn't have to be designed perfectly, right? You don't have to use proper perfect normalization for every single table. It's okay to make little shortcuts sometimes just to save yourself some work. You're not building a Fortune 500 enterprise database here. And if you are, well, then you can afford my full course and you'll learn how to do stuff like this properly. So, Michael, I hope that answers your question. Next up, Rocky Williams wants to know if a local copy is necessary for a shared library database. What he's talking about is covered in this video. And it's basically where you can take all the functions and subroutines that you want to have in multiple databases, and you don't want to have to copy them between the different databases, right? Like I made a function in here called double it. It basically takes a number and returns its double. Okay, great. It's a simple example, but you want to use this same function in all of your 20 different databases. You don't want to have 20 copies of this thing floating around, because if you want to update it and change it, you got to change 20 of them. So you can make a shared library file. Its only job is to hold a few modules that contain stuff you want to be able to use in all of your databases. But Rocky's question is, do you have to have this shared library file set up local as well, or can you just have it referenced like in your server folder? I said you should have it on each user's machine, just like you do with the front end. All right, if you have users that are accessing a shared file like that, aside from your shared table file, if it's front end stuff, and VBA functions and subs are basically front end stuff, I would have it copied down to the local user's machine too. All right, you less chance of running into any kind of file corruption or record locking problems, even though there's no records in it. I've seen it happen. Less chance of corruption. Okay. So if you have a like a batch file or something that copies down front end updates, I would also copy down this file as well. Keep a local copy on your users' workstations, and that way everything's kept up to date, which is what my Access Updater does. Copies down your front end files if you make an update. Next up, Eric from Australia says, one thing he can't figure out is how do you get the font size in the Zoom box to default to something 16 or so, and it'll change for that session, but when he restarts the database, it defaults back to 11 again. Now, the problem that Eric was having, we discussed this, and he told me in a follow-up email that it turned out to be an issue with Access, maybe a bug. He did an Access Office update, and it fixed the problem. But I just wanted to bring this up because people have asked me the same thing in classes before, in comments and stuff, and I just want to show you something. So if you got your Zoom box, right, and I use it a lot in class, here it is. Okay, if you move it and resize it like that, and then either hit cancel or close it, it won't remember its size and shape. See, it comes right back to where it was. But if you do move it and resize it, let's do this, and I hit OK, now when I open it up again, it keeps its same size and shape. It'll still center itself. Okay, so if I make it bigger like this, and then I hit OK, and then open it back up again, you get the same size. The font does not behave that way, though. If I change the font to like 72 point and hit OK, all right, even if I hit cancel, it still keeps that font size. So font doesn't behave the same way. All right, so I'm going to put it back to 24 where I like it. All right, so just the dimensions of the box itself will be remembered. Also, the data in the box, too. If you do this, right, and then hit cancel or close the box, it doesn't save it back here. You have to hit OK. All right, you've got to resize the box where you like it. All right, make your changes, and then hit OK. And then it'll bring that data back here and save the dimensions of the box. The font operates differently. But like Eric said, he did an Office update, and that problem went away. Because he would change the font and then restart the database, and the font was back to where it was before. So that was probably just a bug. Little bugs happen. That they just sometimes they creep in. Sometimes the Access team, they'll add one thing and fix something over here, and it breaks something over there. I've had databases like that too. I've had software like that. I've done, programming my whole life. I used to build all kinds of stuff in like C and Visual Basic, and you make one little change that you don't expect to affect anything, and all of a sudden you break half the database. So that happens. When in doubt, if something's not behaving itself, run down my troubleshooter. I'll put a link to that down below. Always try an Office update, see if maybe that problem has been fixed. And worst comes to worst, you can just roll back to a previously known good version. All right, here's a video on rolling back. I've had to do this a couple times. So I don't Office update myself very often. Next up, let's head over to the YouTubes. Rick Sheldon says he just finished a beginner level 1 course and found it very useful. As a reminder to everybody else, it's free on my website and on YouTube. Go watch it. He says he's used Access over the years to track his coin collections, cost, date acquired, condition type, and so on. He uses it to print lists to take to his coin shows. Why not just take a laptop and show off your database? That'd be awesome, right? His memory of details is not a useful skin of mine. Yeah, mine either. I don't remember details either. He says that he'd be interested in my take on his using Access. Well, I can't see your database. I'd love to see some images. Feel free to visit my website, post some screenshots in the forums. I'd love to see what you got going on there. But the important thing, and what I said in my reply, is that whether you're running a business or managing a coin collection, the beauty of Access is that it adapts to your needs. So, even if you're a basic, just getting started beginner, you can build a cool little database without any programming, track your stuff, set up your tables and your forms. You don't need reports if you're never printing anything out. Or if you got really simple lists, like you want to print out just a query view or a table view to take to your coin collecting event, that's all you need. You don't have to make anything really complicated. But the one thing that I've found, and this is true for me and for many of the students that I've taught over the years, once you learn a little bit more, once you stretch your brain just a bit and you learn some more things that you can do, you're like, oh my God, oh, that's cool. Now I got to go do that in my database. And so now you're changing it. Even stuff that I've built. Like right now, I'm currently revising my calendar database that I built years ago, like 15 years ago. I know so much more now about Access than I did 15 years ago when I built the thing. When I first took it apart, I'm like, what was I thinking? And now that's going to be even super cooler because I know a whole lot more about it. So just learn a little bit every day. That's why I make these tech help videos. Just teach you one new thing every couple days. And that's how you stretch your brain. Your brain behaves just like a muscle. The more you put a little bit of stress on it and you force it to learn something new, then it'll behave better for you. And like memory, I'm awful with memory too. I try to memorize stuff, but there's just so much crap up there. It's not a lot of room in my attic for new stuff. Uriel Ramirez wants a Venn diagram with Starfleet colors. I think maybe you meant Venn diagram? I'm not familiar with a Venn diagram. I even Googled it. I couldn't find anything. And sorry for the messages coming in. I usually mute everything on my machine when I'm recording, but I forgot to unmute my messenger, so I apologize for that. If this was a real class, I would have re-recorded that segment. But it's we're friends here, right? Quick Queries is we're all just friends. So anyhow, unless Ben is some new Starfleet officer I have not met yet, I'm pretty sure. I asked ChatGPT to throw together a quick Venn diagram with DISTINCTROW. It gave me that. So we got our 3 Starfleet colors. I don't know who's orange on the ship, but oh well. Felipe says, I found your video right in the time it came to me and the need to align text to the right in a list box. Yeah, I covered that in this video here. List box, column, align right. Great, I'm glad it helped you. My question is, were you searching for that? Because as I tell everybody, if you ever search for something that you're trying to do in Microsoft Access, if you're searching on Google or Bing or YouTube, and one of my videos doesn't come up, what are you supposed to do? You let me know. You send me your keyword phrase that you used, and I will make a video on it. That's my goal. Anyone searches for anything Access related, I want to be there. All right, going to my distinct versus distinct row video. I'll put a link to this down below. Herbunkendus asks, wait, hold on, someone's beaming in. Wait. He asks, what if you added a field from the ordered table to the query, such as ordered date? Would both of Richard Ross' orders come up in a separate record in the query? Okay, so this depends on whether you're working with distinct or distinct row. If you're doing that last example that I gave with distinct row, where you've got the customer over here, the order over here, and you just bring down the customer table fields, then you'll only see a list of unique customers. If you bring down an order table field, well, you know what? This usually falls into my try it and find out for yourself rule. You'll learn more if you figure this out on your own. So you don't really want me to spoil this for you, do you? When you could just very easily try it yourself, right? You'll learn better if you try it yourself, right? If you only have stuff from the customer table and you run it, you get just those unique customers. As soon as you add something from this table, look what happens. See, now the distinct row is going to give you distinct rows. Okay, but in the future, try that yourself. Well, let me bring this back over here. Try this yourself. Why? Don't ask me. Just try it. You'll learn better. Dig into it. Experiment. Play with it. I got a whole page and a whole video just on this topic. Go watch this. Yes, I'm here to teach you, but I hate spoon-feeding everything. I like to show you guys new stuff. But if you watch a video and you're curious about something, just try it. Give it a shot. And if you try it and you play with it for 10, 15 minutes and you still can't figure it out, then ask me. Because then I know at least you tried it, right? Trust me, that's the best way to learn. When I was learning this stuff, I didn't have a YouTube or a Google or any of that stuff. I had to go dig through books or spend 3 hours trying to figure it out myself. And that's the best way to learn. I don't even know how I'd pronounce that, but how do you filter a report if the form is filtered by a query? Well, if the form is based on a query and the query is where the parameters are set, the criteria are set, then if you base the report off the same query, it should get the same set of records. All right, this video here was to show you how to take a form that you've filtered in the form and apply that same filter to a report. Right, but if you just open a form and that form is getting its criteria directly from the query, then any report that you base on that should also get its data from the same query. All right, I do the same thing in my invoicing video. When we open up the invoice report, it's based on the data in the form, and the query gets the data from the form. And yes, you can have a loop that does that too. The form has a field that provides data to the query, and the query opens up the report. So this stuff can bounce around too. Oh, and I just want to take a moment to let some of you guys know that I read all of the comments you guys post. I don't always have the time to reply to them all. Sometimes you'll just get the little Vulcan hand, right? Or you're welcome for a thank you, that kind of stuff. I just don't have the time to write responses to all of these. And the ones that I think will make good, answers for the video, I'll definitely put in the video. But sometimes as I'm just going down them, yeah, I read them all. But sometimes I just hit the button and just, here's your thing, because I don't have time to go through and write responses to everybody. So I do spend more time on the stuff on my website and the forums there. But YouTube comments, I try to at least go down them, a couple times a week. But just because I gave you the Vulcan hand doesn't mean that I didn't read your comment. I'm not just trying to blow you off. And you are welcome. Gregory asks, in my before update and after update video, I show you how to check to make sure that you don't already have an appointment at that time. And Gregory says he wants to know how you could force compliance with appointments only starting on the hour, preventing the user from inputting a time like 10:05. That's a fantastic question, and I hate that I didn't think of that while I was recording the video. It's very easy to solve. All you have to say is in your before update event, just check to see if the minute entered equals 0, or 15, or 30, or 45 if you want to do on the quarter hour. And then if that's not the case, then just tell them, hey, you can only put in appointments on the hour. So that's real easy to do, and that's a great question. I'd probably throw it right after the year check, right here. Right, check appointment time. And I'd say, instead of year appointment time, say minute, right? If the minute appointment time is not 0 and the minute appointment date time is not, let's say you're doing it on the, whoops, what'd I do? Oh, then, let's say you could do it every half hour, all right? And you just put in here minutes, whoops. Right here, appointments must be on the hour or half hour only. All right, and you can add other things in here too, 15, 45, whatever you want. Right, debug compile once in a while. And then when we come back out here and open our appointment form, if I try to put something new in here at today at 6:14, right? Hour and a half hour only. Okay, let's make it 6:30. Okay, yeah, and then it continues. Would you like to send the confirmation email? No. And that's how you do it. Great question. I love that. DMP04 said, I started using Access in 1995 until 3 years ago. I think I used IsMissing maybe one time. IsMissing is something you can use to see if an optional parameter is there or not. Yeah, I don't think I've ever used it in a real product, in a real like distribution database. I've used it myself a couple of times, but I think the thing is that you know when you need it and when you don't need it, and as long as you, the developer, are the one working with it, you can decide whether to use it or not. And I don't know. I've never really had a real need for it either. So there's a lot of stuff in there that you probably will use maybe once or twice, but it's there if you need it. That's the nice thing. Next up, Ernie says, what is the complete path for nested subforms? Oh, these get complicated. All right, I have a whole separate video on this coming out where I'm going to go into it in detail. But basically, let's say you took your order form and dropped it into your customer form. So now the customer's got each of his orders down here, and inside the order form, you got order details. Let's say you wanted to get that guy right there, which is some extended price. All right, I made a button over here that does it. It looks like that. And here's what the full name of it looks like. It's forms, customer F, order F is the name of the subform control in the customer F, dot form, that means we're going into another form. What's the form name? It's order F, right? Okay, now in that form, we're going to go to the order detail F dot form. And in that guy, we're going to look for some extended price. So you just keep going dot form down the line until you get to what you're looking for. Again, I got another video coming out on this where I'm going to go over it in more detail. There are some caveats and some things you got to watch out for, but that's the basics of it. And of course, if you want to learn more about nested subforms, there you go. All right, before I let everybody go, I just want to let you know I set up a couple of online stores because some people were bugging me. I set up a store at TeePublic where you can get some t-shirts with the Access Learning Zone on it, some hats, a baseball jersey, a throw pillow. I put together the save it, close it, open it. What else we got? We were thinking about putting together a MAGA hat where it says something about access, like make access good always or something. I don't know. Someone says make access great again, but it doesn't need to be made great again. Access has always been great, right? What else did I do? Oh, I also put together debug compile once in a while. That's coming. And if you set it, you got to forget it. That's on a mouse pad. What else do I got? Oh, I'm thinking of putting together a large desk pad with maybe some access shortcuts on it and stuff like that. But yeah, check it out. I'll put links down below. I got 2 online stores set up right now. And yeah, get yourself some swag. I'm not doing it to make money, folks. I get like $1 each time I sell one of these. It's just cool stuff. I just think it's neat. All right, that's going to do it, folks. That is your quick queries for today. That's number 39. I hope you learned something. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you next week. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button right now and give me a like. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel, which is completely free. And make sure you click that bell icon and select all to receive notifications whenever I post a new video. Do you need help with your Microsoft Access project? Whether you need a tutor, a consultant, or a developer to build something for you, check out my Access Developer Network. It's a directory I put together personally of Access experts who can help with your project. Visit my website to learn more. Any links or other resources that I mentioned in the video can be found in the description text below the video. Just click on that Show More link right there. YouTube's pretty good about hiding that, but it's there. Just look for it. Now, if you have not yet tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of Microsoft Access, including building forms, queries, reports, tables, all that stuff. It's over 4 hours long. You can find it on my website or my YouTube channel. I'll include a link below you can click on. And did I mention it's completely free? And if you like Level 1, Level 2 is just $1. That's it. And it's free for members of my YouTube channel at any level. Speaking of memberships, if you're interested in joining my channel, you get all kinds of awesome perks. Silver members get access to all of my extended cut TechHelp videos, and there's hundreds of them by now. They also get 1 free beginner class each month, and yes, those are from my full courses. Gold members get the previous perks plus access to download all of the sample databases that I build in my TechHelp videos. Plus, you get access to my code vault where I keep tons of different functions and all kinds of source code that I use. And gold members get 1 free expert class every month after completing the beginner series. Platinum members get all of the previous perks, plus they get all of my beginner courses, all of them from every subject, and you get one free advanced or developer class every month after finishing the expert series. And you can become a diamond sponsor and have your name listed on the sponsor page on my website. So that's it. Once again, my name is Richard Rost. Thank you for watching this video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something today. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you next time.